Hello and welcome to the Live Life Golden Show. This is episode 63, 7 ways to change your responses to manifest your greatest potential. One of my favorite conversations is always this quantum physics stuff. This, like, how do my thoughts, how does my energy create? So, we're going to do some little basics on that. I know my last show gave a lot, but the thing about manifesting is there are intricacies. There are the ways that we need to fine tune, and it all has to do with our conduction. It all has to do with the energy that we're bringing to it. So I've had realizations lately about my responses to things that I've been doing for years that are suddenly coming to light. And I'm seeing, oh, that's why I've conducted that way. Like, here's a recent example that I just find so interesting. And it's usually these things that we've been trying and trying and trying to manifest for years. I've been very public about my physical body, about working out, about weight loss, about what I've done. I did a show with Jeremy a few many couple episodes back about, tracking your food and the different ways to create the most optimal physical body. That's where I'm at right now in my life. I'm very interested in vitality and energy and staying young. So I go to the gym. I love the gym. I work out really hard. And over the last few years, I have definitely been on this roller coaster ride of trying different things and, failing, succeeding, failing, succeeding, and it feels like a roller coaster ride. So, with the whole illness thing, I kind of let everything go. I just decided I'm so tired of tracking. I'm so tired of, scaling my food. I was literally weighing everything that went into my body. And I just decided to just back off from everything because I realized that a lot of my energy that goes towards my physical body, my physical appearance is, I'm older and I can't lose weight. That has been something that is social programmed into us across the board, that women that are, 40s and 50s, it's really hard to lose weight, especially if you're in menopause, which I am not yet. I'm sure there's some pre stuff going on, but and I actually went to a nutritionist and I talked to him about hormones and things like that, and we were going to do all this testing. So then I got sick. I didn't do any of the tests. And I decided after I got sick, I had a very interesting thing happen where I released a lot of emotional stuff. That's in my episode 59, I believe. I released a whole bunch of emotional stuff. I journaled stuff out. I cried for a few days. I had this fever. I had a lot of releasing work that happened. And I decided to just let everything go and intuitively eat. Just literally give myself a break. Stop saying I can't lose weight. Stop trying to figure it out. Whenever you're trying to figure something out, you are literally vibrating with the problem. You're not in solution mode. So I needed to create space. And we're going to talk a lot today about how to create space from your reactions and responses, from the things, from your stimulus, from the things that happened, how you quickly react will give you an indication of where you are energetically on this point of attraction plane and how to shift that so that your response can reflect what you actually want to create next, because your response is what you create next. So I decided to start eating intuitively. So every meal I kind of ask myself, first of all, I'm listening to my hunger, which I have not done in a while. And I'm asking myself, and I break it down into macros, protein, carbs, and fats. And I say, do I need a fat in this meal? And I'll go intuitively and I'll ask myself, do I need a carbohydrate in this meal? I always eat protein. Pretty much every meal I have has some sort of protein in it because I'm interested in gaining muscle. And my belief system is we need protein to do that. So with that, I'm shrinking. I am feeling really vital, lots of energy. My workouts are fantastic, and I've let myself off the hook. And I've realized yesterday, I realized I have let this judgment go of bad food, good food, and I've just really intuitively ate. Now, yesterday we had a really awesome Sunday fun day, and we went out for gelato. And something we love to do. We have a little gelato place down by the beach, and we went for gelato. And then for dinner, I was like, I really want a burger and fries. Like, that was what I wanted. So I had a half of a burger because that's all my stomach can handle these days. Some French fries, and I came home and I thought this morning, like waking up, I was going to the gym and I thought to myself, wow, like I don't have this, oh, I ate bad yesterday, so I have to go work it off today. Like, that's gone. I don't think that way, and I don't judge food the same. Like, I don't eat a brownie and feel instantly guilty about it. And I truly believe that that is what we connect with that actually creates weight gain, because it's heavy, dense thoughts. And it's a belief system that says, if I eat this, I'm going to gain weight. Now, I haven't perfected this so that I can, eat all the junk in the world, but I don't want to eat all the junk in the world. And that's the interesting thing that has happened. My cravings have been kind of severed. I don't crave the chocolate every day. I don't crave. And I think a lot of it was just being so hyper focused on being good all the time and trying all the time that, I would kind of go into that rebellion mode of, I need some chocolate. I need something because I'm depriving, where now I'm not so much depriving. I'm just eating from my intuition. And if I want a piece of chocolate, I will have a piece of chocolate. I just haven't wanted it. So it's so interesting how that happens. But the judgment of the bad food, the good food, I got to work out, I'm going to gain weight, all of that stuff is exhausting. I'm sure many of you can relate. And it's been very freeing to let it go. So I've just kind of let it all go. I'm not doing testing. I'm not going down rabbit holes. I'm just living in my vital energy field. I'm connecting with, infinite intelligence on what to eat and when to eat, and my own personal body. What perfection is that? So that is the process that I use to kind of let go. Now, it took me some time, and there's been years where I've done this, I've let it go, I've taken it back. So this is where I'm at right now. Doesn't mean it won't change, but for right now, this is what's working in my physical body, and it feels right. It feels in alignment with what I have been saying I want to create, which is a strong physical body that has energy and is fed properly. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm reaching towards a lot of whole foods, more whole foods than normal, and I've kind of cut a lot of the processed stuff out. And I think that's a huge piece of like not driving addictions, is having this crappy processed food in our situation. All right, so let's get started. I'm excited about this 7 ways. So I'm going to give you the 7 ways, and then we're going to break it down. So the very first thing that I want to get into before the 7 ways is that wave of energy. I want to talk a little quantum physics with you, and that wave of energy that actually conducts and creates in your experience. So something happens, you have a thought about it, you have a belief about it, you have a judgment about it. And basically what happens is it starts to evoke emotion in you. Every thought doesn't manifest, but I truly believe that emotions do, because emotions are energy in motion. So as that emotion comes out, as those thoughts and beliefs and judgments come out, they go out as waves into the universe. And as those waves go out and you continue to feel and you continue to conduct, they start to break down into particles and become matter, physical matter. And then you start to see evidence of them. And so with that, knowing that, a lot of the things that we do, we can go, oh, law of attraction, right? A couple of silly little things that recently, like my husband was looking for zip ties the other day. And I was like, oh, they're probably with the Christmas lights, right? So he found 2 zip ties. He needed 2 zip ties and he found them. Yesterday, we walk into Home Depot and there's this huge thing of zip ties. I'm like, of course. And then somebody asked me how to spell the word taekwondo, and I drove by a taekwondo place. I mean, this is how it works. This is the field of energy, the energy of infinite potential that is all around you, that you are tuning into. And as you tune into with your focus, even if it's just for a few minutes, it's bringing it into your field. Not only is it bringing it into your field, it's always in your field. It's you're noticing it, because you're in that frequency. When I looked up Taekwondo on Safari, I tuned into that frequency, which then had me look to the right as I was driving by a Taekwondo place that I never even knew was there, and it's in my town. Super cool. It's that simple. It's that freaking simple, you guys. Like, we complicate the shit out of this stuff, and there's no reason for it. It is so simple. And when we dumb it down, when we dumb it way, way down, and we recognize that we are the conductors of energy, and when we recognize that our emotional field is super powerful, we start to become powerful creators. But the very first step in being a powerful creator is the awareness. So it's the awareness about what's going on in here. It's the awareness about what's going on in here, your mind, in your heart, what's going on is the very first step in realizing that you conduct. And then it's like, what happens next? Okay, so this thing happened to me. I have a choice when this thing happens to me. I can choose to react the same way I always do, which means I will continue to get the same thing over and over again. This is why people live cycles. I can stop, I can pull back, and I can look at the situation from a higher perspective. I can ask for higher perspective, right? I can ask infinite intelligence. I can ask divine energy. I can ask angelic energy. I can ask all of my non physical counterparts to give me a higher perspective about this situation, but I have to create the space first. All right, so these are the 7 ways. The first is to create space, which is quieting your mind. I'm going to go into the details on these. Second is to breathe and take yourself out of the problem. This is how you're going to allow enough space to start to become powerful. Number 3 is to ask for clarity and write down what you want to happen. Number 4 is to interrupt the old habits of thoughts. 5 is to release your addiction to emotions. 6 is to ask yourself, how would I feel if I really believed this was working out for me? That's energy conduction, that's frequency, that's tuning in, alignment. And number 7 is letting go, like truly letting go. So I'm going to give you all the tips and the ways to do this. So, first of all, creating space. We've talked probably ad nauseum about meditation. Understand this. You have a monkey in your mind, a squirrel on crack, whatever. You've got this run on, you've got this running loop constantly in your mind. There's 60,000 thoughts a day. Most of those thoughts are about something you were thinking about like over and over again. We just have the same kind of thoughts. Many of them are exactly what we were thinking about yesterday or exactly what we think about every day at certain times, right? 60,000 thoughts. In those thoughts, we have what I like to call, this connection to those thoughts, right? Like we're super connected to them. Many of them are hinged in our identities, like who we are, who we grew up as, what our firm belief systems, our religions, our parents, teachers, whatever. These belief systems that are ingrained, the social programmings, all of these intensely strong energy fields, thought forms. Ever heard of thought forms? I know I did a little bit on thought forms before, but I'll explain them. Thought forms are basically every thought that anyone ever has is out here in the universe. It's out here popping around as energy, right? This is why, like, when you walk into a place and you feel weird, like you feel a vibe, it's because everyone that's been there before you has left a little bit of energy. And so if you don't like the vibe and you're not in alignment with the vibe, then you're most likely going to want to leave or you won't probably come back, right? This is if, you're really tuned into this stuff. If you're not tuned into it, you might think, I don't feel good and I don't know why. Or you might pick up on a lower thought form of your own and take that energy with you. This is why it's so important to have the awareness and enough space in that awareness that you're able to choose from there. So that's thought forms, and thought forms are everywhere. This is why people get scared on planes. There's a lot of energy on planes of people fearing their life. Energy on bridges, going over bridges. You ever get scared over a bridge for no reason at all? You never did before? That's why elevators, all of these spaces conduct, they all have energy within them that was left from previous people. So you want to protect your energy field. It's a good idea to kind of do a little, protection of the energy field, call in your angels, call in, oh my God, call in divine energy, call in all of that energy to surround you to make sure that you are protected. But the greatest protection that you can have is your mind. It's deciding what frequencies you're going to tune into. Now, if you walk into a place and you're already in a low place, you're already irritated, you're already worried, you're already anxious, guess what? You're going for a ride, because that stuff is going to conduct even stronger in your energy field because you're already in there with it. So then it can create more momentum because you're already with it. Really, really important because this is how you become a powerful creator and start to take the reins back in your life. All right. So, meditation, A number one, is the way to quiet that mind and start to gain control over it. I, at this point in my life, can close my eyes at any moment and have a clear space. This really helps you fall back to sleep at night if you wake up, is to go and quiet that mind, to have that control. Now, meditation is something, it's a practice, and you have to strengthen that muscle in order to go into higher states of consciousness where there is no thought. So pulling yourself higher, just letting yourself be in your body and out of that mind will help you to start to train the mind. We got to train the mind to create the life. So the awareness is the very first step. The second step is, having enough space so that you're not sucked into what I like to call the roller coaster ride. Now, if you could think about your mind as these neural pathways that are like a roller coaster ride, or if you could think about your mind as a great big radio station and you're dialing into different stations, that's what frequency is all about. Whatever you entertain up here in this mind, whatever you allow in this mind is what's going to conduct in your life experience. So that feeling, whatever that feeling is, whatever that resonance is, whatever that state or mood is that you're in is what is going to be created more of. So quieting the mind, super important. Have a meditation practice. If you don't have one, go to M21 Revolution on Facebook. We've got a ton of members. We've got a ton of challenges, a ton of information to help you to begin this meditation practice that will absolutely change your life within 3 or 4 days. I promise. So get a handle on it. Second is to breathe. So breath is very much connected to vitality. It's very much connected to life force. Many of us can't go very long without breathing. What happens with breathing is we get stressed. So we get anxious. So what we do is we do very shallow breathing and we don't even realize it. What shallow breathing does is it actually activates cortisol, which is a stress hormone in your body, full of adrenaline, full of something that you could potentially be addicted to. So, by breathing and by connecting with that air that comes in through your nose and out through your mouth, or in through your nose and out through your nose, you are taking your power back in a lot of different ways. Now, there's a ton of modalities with breathing. You can look them up on YouTube. One of the ones that my nutritionist just taught me was just to take a really deep breath in, let your lungs expand, hold it for a couple of seconds and blow it out. Just blow it out and allow it to, do that 3 or 4 times, 5 times in an hour, and allow it to bring you back into your body. Because when we're too much in our mind, when we're too much in this monkey mind, we kind of forget about our physical body and we're not really present. We're really kind of all over the place. When we bring ourselves back into the body, we take our power back, we go back into the present state awareness, and we have so much more power from there. So, breathing is amazing. I used to, the parenting books would tell you, well, count to 10. Well, there was a lot missing in that counting to 10. If you're counting to 10 in anger, you're not really going to get anywhere, but it's just giving yourself enough space from your response, from your stimulus and your response, so that you're not being reactionary, so that you're not just letting your emotions run the show. You're taking your power back and you're saying, how do I want to respond to this? Breathing is a huge way to do that. The other thing that breathing does, if you've ever done work with Joe Dispenza, I love Joe Dispenza. He does some amazing breathing things where it's actually a way to channel and clear out your pineal gland, which is right here. It's your third eye chakra. And basically you take a deep breath in and you hold and you pull up from the bottom of your body, all the way up from the bottom of your body, and you press your air into the third eye. You push and you put a lot of pressure right here. And then you hold it for a pretty long time. And through that holding process and then blowing out, what ends up happening is there's an energy that you force throughout your body that has to do with vitality, it has to do with life force. And what that energy does for you is it clears out the mind. Like, I get so clear when I do these meditations. I have had the most incredibly deep meditations from doing that. Just look up Joe Dispenza. He's got a ton of them on YouTube. Great stuff. So breathing. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Breathing lets us relax. Breathing tells our nervous system that it's okay. It calms down those hormones. It releases better feeling hormones, and it allows us to become present. That's what breath does for us. Good, good stuff. All right. We talked about, all right. So these are the things that block your space in your mind and your breath. And then the mind, this creating space in the mind and these taking breaths, this is what actually blocks you from being able to do that. So one huge thing is those habits of thought, right? Those habits of thought, those ones that we let go on and on and on. They're the stories that we tell about people, about the crap they do to us that we don't like, but we keep tolerating. It's the stories about our bosses. It's the stories about our employees. It's the stories about the world, the government, all those stories that do not serve you, that do not allow you to actually create what you want to create. Anxiety. Anxiety and worry are like a cancer. They do cause cancer, in fact. Anxiety and worry blocks the flow, first of all, of wisdom. They keep us very much activated in the problem. And there's a saying that says worrying is like praying for what you don't want. So they're activated in the problem, so they don't allow for the solutions to come to light. They don't allow for you to create space, because what anxiety does, if you've ever gotten into like a fight with somebody, like a really big fight with somebody, this has happened to me many times over the course of my life, and you can't stop thinking about it. You literally can't, like, it is thinking you. Like every process you've ever tried. And I have to say, this hasn't happened to me in an extremely long time because I've been training my mind for years. But at the times when I, didn't know about training my mind, and I was a meditator, but I didn't know about the processes of energy and motion and things like that, it would just eat me alive. And I couldn't figure out a way to stop thinking about it. And I would have, I mean, like when it comes to things like your house being foreclosed on and you get that notice in the mail and you're just like, you can't breathe. And you're like, oh my God, they're going to take our house. Those thoughts and that anxiety can eat you alive if you don't get a handle on it. And then, once you process it and you let it kind of come through, and you start to remember who you are, and you start to apply the law of attraction and alignment and frequency, then eventually it starts to fade and it doesn't have as much power over you. So if you're in that, if you're going through that, if you have gone through that, and you've got something big that feels big, and maybe it's life changing, maybe it's a relationship. Ones that I've seen like with clients that are like major are like these breakups. And believe it or not, a lot of these, yeah, there was women, but there was a lot of them, like my clients that I talked to, were men. And they were men who lost these women. The women, ended their relationship, and the men would believe they would never find anybody else. Like that was it, like crushing. I remember one client, she was just completely crushed, and we processed through and we did some energy release work. And what she finally realized was he wasn't the man of her dreams. And she ended up finding the man of her dreams pretty soon after that and marrying him. So once we let go of, this idea that this is happening to me, I have no say over it, and it's not what I ever wanted, and instead recognize, oh, the universe is doing me a solid and helping me to clarify that this was never really good for me in the first place. And there is something much better out there. Once you start to realize that, when relationships end, friendships end, things like that, family relationships end, once you start to realize and you start to get really clear and honest with yourself, you start to go, oh, I was really pulling one over on myself by believing that, or I was really pulling one over on myself by romanticizing that or tolerating that. There's so many things we tolerate that are just absolute BS in our lives. And then the universe does us a solid and takes it away. That life sucking job that you hated so much that all of a sudden you don't have anymore, and now you're terrified. It's like, hello, this is opening a window. This is opening a door. This is opening, your life to something new, to something better, to something that you never would have taken the steps to move away from because you were too scared. So, getting out of that, that constant barrage of thoughts, that loop. Like if you could picture in your mind that you literally have a roller coaster ride going on in your mind, and find any way to interrupt and move from it, just continue to move from it, you will create enough space where it won't be like this, like you're married to it, like it's thinking you, like you're so close to it that you can't get out, you can't have another thought. Those are challenging times, but they are a huge part of our expansion and growth. So if you are going through something like that, it's okay. I want you to know it's okay. It's okay if you're caught in a thought pattern. It's okay if you feel like you can't get out and this thing is just kicking your ass. It's okay, because I'm going to give you the tools to process that stuff to get out of it. Okay, so number 3, let me make sure I went through all that. Yeah, frequency. So frequency tuning, realize that frequency has a momentum. So law of attraction works both ways. It works in the positive and it works in the negative. It works in whatever you're tuned into and focused upon. So as you're focused on something that maybe is unwanted, like maybe something crazy happens, and you're like, oh my goodness, and you flip out, you're like Chicken Little, the sky is falling, you start flipping out, and then you get these worst case scenarios that start coming, and you're really worried and you're really anxious. Basically, what you're doing is you're tuning yourself into a radio station of all the problem energy. So then a lot of things are going to come to you that are going to be like that. More anxiety, more reasons to feel anxious. You're going to stub your toe, you're going to spill your coffee, you're going to get in a fender bender. All those things that create and feel anxious are going to continue to come to you because you're in that field of energy and you've created a momentum around it. That's why it's so important to create the freaking space, because the space is what's going to allow you to gain the control again, which is what we really want. All right. So another thing that blocks is, okay, we have anxiety and then we have doubts. Doubts will block you every time. Every time you doubt yourself. So every time you get excited about an idea or you decide you're going to do something and then you let the doubts talk you out of it, that blocks your infinite wisdom and flow to infinite energy. That blocks the energy that allows you to get in solution mode and allows for really cool things to line up for you, allows for really good opportunities to come. You'll miss the opportunities because you're way too focused on the doubts. And the doubts are always rooted in the past. I mean, sometimes they're rooted in the future because you're thinking about, oh, I don't know if I can accomplish that. But for the most part, they're rooted in past energy where maybe you failed, or maybe you haven't shown yourself, or maybe you've never succeeded before. So most of the time they're rooted in the past, but often they can be also focused on the future of the unknown. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can accomplish that. I'm not going to take the chance because I don't want to look stupid. And the problem with that is there's no expansion and growth from not going for it. There's no expansion and growth when you decide to just sit back and not follow your dreams or follow that thing that's really calling to you, and let those doubts talk you out of it. Focusing on worrying and unwanted, focusing on the unwanted. How many times do we do this? Well, I don't want this to happen and I don't want that to happen. I don't want to get stuck in traffic and I don't want to get sick. Always focused on what we don't want, and that brings more of it to us. So that's why the space is important. So we can catch the neural pathways that are the addictions, that are the habits that we've had, and we can start to decide what we really want to create. All right, so deep breathing, the ways to interrupt those anxieties and doubt. Closing your eyes and getting into your body will help you to calm. Writing helps you to calm. Writing, writing about how you're feeling, writing about what you want to create, writing about your fears, just getting that stuff out of your body. You can burn it, you can rip it up, you can do whatever you want with it afterwards, but it's that release. And what writing does too is it connects you with being honest. Like if you're just writing in a journal, like to yourself, you're going to be honest. And we don't really have a lot of power until we acknowledge how we're kidding ourselves, until we acknowledge how we're lying to ourselves. When we acknowledge how we're lying to ourselves and we kind of expose that to ourselves, then we can really start to see and get more clear on what we're looking to create. Focusing on something, getting excited about something, and being creative about something can help you if you are in a spiral of conflict, or if you're feeling like you have no control over what's conflictual, what's causing your field to be ramped up in a certain direction of what you truly don't want to create. So breathing, taking those deep breaths and creating that space will actually help you to get out of the problem as well. When you get really present, you're not in the problem so much. You're just in the here and the now, because the problem, if you think about this, like in the ideas, in the science of law of attraction, everything that's happened, everything that's just happened is old news. In fact, everything that's happening right now is old news. And the only thing that you really have control over is how you respond to it, because that's what is created next. So if something happened yesterday, it's very much old news, and it's based on the energy field of yesterday. And that's why it's so important to create your energy field every day, to get up every day and set intentions, to get up every day and be in gratitude, to get up every day and dial your frequency into what is the most optimal level for you to feel. Some days it's hard to get to joy. I get that. I live in California right now. We've got gray May gray. What people had told me before I moved here, that there was like this June gloom thing, and I was just like somewhat in denial. But living, and this is past energy, living on the East Coast for my entire life, we've got a couple of pretty solid months of gray weather, and it does something to my head. I don't like it. So recently, I've just been thinking, like, how do I take some of that power back? Because if I just look outside, and I also get like head stuff from it, it's just like barometric pressure stuff. How do I feel? I actually asked myself this yesterday. How do I feel at my absolute best when the weather's like this? Well, on Friday, it was like rainy and it was cold. I mean, it was like in the 50s. I decided that my joy and happiness was better facilitated if I stayed inside. So I didn't go out on Fun Friday. A lot will say that I missed out on fun. I don't believe that. I got a lot of work done. I snuggled under a blanket. I had a fire going. I had a cat with me, and it was awesome. So it's like, how do I conduct myself in this May gray weather? And this, how do I not let the circumstances? Somebody questioned me on one of my Facebook posts. I thought you had uncircumstantial joy. And I was like, oh man, that's so true. She's calling me out on my shit. And I'm like, but I'm human and I love sunshine. Like, when the sun is shining, wow. I joke around with people and tell them that I'm like from the planet sun. Like, I'm golden and my skin loves the sun, and don't even talk to me about skin cancer. I don't want to hear that nonsense. I truly believe that I excel in the sunshine, and I can feel it. Like, it literally, I can feel it on my skin. So yesterday morning, I asked myself, like, woke up in the morning, it was gray, and I was like, just like, how do I find joy in this moment? And how do I find gratitude in this moment? And very soon thereafter, asking that question, the sun came out, and I was like, oh, singing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I am so joyful right now. And I'm way more joyful now because of a couple days of gray weather. So that contrast really serves us, right? But it's in this decision making that we do, like today, it's real gray out there, it's chilly, and I'm like, what can I do to really pull myself up, to really help myself get into a better frequency? This is what I did. You ready for this? Well, I've been working on, getting things done. Productivity always makes me feel great. So getting stuff done that I said I want to do, creating a new Facebook cover, working on my podcast titles. I'm revamping the whole podcast title thing for keywords, and taking a shower, putting on makeup, and putting on a dress. I got on a dress with a long sleeve shirt, a summer dress, and I'm going to put on my cowboy boots. And this is how I'm going to feel good in the gray May weather, right? Because I can take my power back. Now, do I feel elated like it's sunny out right now? No. So this is the thing. Like, some days it's not like that. Some days you're not at the top of your game. Some days you're not in, full on joy and appreciation and high energy field. And that's okay. But can you do better? Can you tune your frequency a little bit higher? Can you put on some music? Holy crap, does music do it for me? And I like just about all genres of music. I love reggae. I love one of one of the ones I've listened to lately is Gloria Gaynor. Hello, yeah, 70s, 80s, BPM. We listen to which is beats per minute. Apparently, we listen to that on the way to the gym. 5 o'clock in the morning. It's like a nightclub in my car. Yeah, and our gym is like that too. It's very like nightclubby. It's got like low lights and loud music. And, we're tuning our frequencies first thing in the morning. We're getting into the energy field. We're feeling it. So, how can you do that? How can you tune your frequency higher? How can you take that power back? All right, so we're going to ask ourselves now. We've done our breathing, we've taken a little bit of space, we're allowing our mind to just be very clear. How can I start to activate the potentials in the field? So you got this big thing that happens and it's like, holy crap, what's going to happen now? Like this looks terrible. And let me just tell you, when things look like really awful, that's when big things are going to happen because of this, because strong desire has been activated. And because if you can do this with me, if you can buy into this show, if you can really just lock arms with me and do this, your faith and trust will grow exponentially. Anytime we have been through massive challenges, our faith and trust has grown so much to the point now it's much easier for me to tune into faith and trust. It's much easier for problems to happen or challenges to happen. And I'll say, I can't wait to see what manifests from this pretty quickly. I'm not perfect. I am human, but pretty quickly. That's mastery. All right. So clarity. Number 3 is clarity, journaling, digging deep, getting into those questions. What am I fearful of? What am I most afraid of? What is causing all this anxiety? Where is the foundation? Is this rooted in a childhood wound? Is this something that is being asked to be cleared? If it's something really big that has triggered a massive amount of anxiety, yes, it is an invitation to clear something. If you just have low level anxiety all the time, it could be an addiction. And let me just tell you something about anxiety and worry and stress. Massive addictions with those things because we've got adrenaline releasing, you've got, these hormone downloads, you got stuff going on in your body that you're used to, that you thrive on, possibly, maybe not thrive, but you drive on it, right? Like you're driving on the anxiety. It keeps us going, that pressure keeps us going, keeps us from like completely falling apart or falling into bed. I would start asking yourself this super important question. What am I getting from this? So, what am I getting from anxiety? What am I getting from chaos? Like, if your life is a bunch of chaos, or if your life, you've always got problems, what are you getting from it? Are you getting a bunch of attention? Are you getting people to pay attention to you? Are you getting people to feel sorry for you? Are you addicted to that sort of negative frequency? Because that's a negative frequency. And a lot of that is rooted in the way that we grew up. If we only got attention when we were creating from negative behavior, or if you only got your way when you flipped out. Like that's one of the big things with my grandbaby. And if you are a parent, good Lord, and she's not a baby, she's going to be 5, is do not give in to your children when they are having a flip out. When they are really having a temper tantrum and they are in serious negative emotion, if you reward that, you have just set them up with that whole thing that works. That if they freak out and if they're in negative emotion, people will do what they want. And you don't want to do that with your kids. I used to tell my kids all the time, I'm going to wait until you're feeling better before we discuss this again, because I will never give in to you when you are flipping out on me or begging or any of that stuff, because you're not in the vibrational frequency of compensation. You're not in the vibrational frequency of receiving. You're actually repelling. Guess what? When you're in negative emotion, you're actually repelling the shit that you want to come to you. And it's okay if you are, because there's a process here. Nobody's perfect. So don't beat yourself up. Good Lord, that's more negative emotion. You don't want to do that. You want to get yourself in a more, what's the word I'm looking for? In a more neutral state. You want to get yourself out of the anxiety. You want to get yourself out of the negative emotion in more of a neutral state where you've got some sort of foundation and some sort of grounding on what you decide next. How you decide to respond is what happens next. All right, so that clarity, that journaling, connecting with that foundation, calling on divine energy, calling on angelic energy to support you, to help you, to let you know what you need to do moving forward to create the most optimal outcome. So, here's a couple questions you can ask. Is this what I want to feel? If you're feeling really awful, the answer is probably no. Does this thought lead me to be in the problem or the solution? Got to be really aware to come up with these things. And will this bring me more of what I want or what I don't want? Those are the questions to ask yourself when you're really in these lower energy fields and you need to start working yourself back up. Come up with some mantras. Mantras are great for interrupting. So, a couple of our mantras in our house is everything's always working out for us. Everything always works out for me. And it may sound really cheesy and maybe a little cliche, and it might even be hard for you to believe. But when you say it enough and then you see evidence of it and you know it works, it can become your mantra. It can absolutely become your mantra. So, I am creating space for solutions. I am creating space for solutions. I know solutions are coming. I trust. I have faith. I trust. I have faith. And I'm letting this go. That's a big one that I've adopted recently. So especially like in relationships, when you're tuned into the wrong frequency with somebody and there's a lot of momentum there, with anything, if there's a ton of momentum there, a great mantra is I'm letting this go and interrupting those thoughts that have tuned you into the wrong frequency. Once you interrupt enough, you'll create enough space where that won't be your go-to so much. It's like, I'm letting this go. I'm letting this go. People think they have no control over this shit, and they totally do. They're like, well, I can't stop thinking about it. And it's like, because you have not allowed yourself to stop thinking about it. You're just letting yourself think about it. You have control over your mind. You absolutely do, even if you don't meditate. Just listening to this information will give you control. Oh, and stay on till the end of the show. Hopefully, I'm not going to go over. I don't even know where I am. Okay. Because I'm going to do a little activation. And that activation is going to help you to tune into the frequency of what you want. So stay tuned till the end. I'm also going to talk about my little writing challenge I'm coming up with. All right. So we got to release the addictions to emotions. So here's a good question. It's a really solid question. Take this into your journaling. How often am I allowing negative emotion to rule my life? Is this a tendency? Do I wake up in the morning and start looking for problems? Do I get up in the morning and start feeling dissatisfied? Do I, every time I talk to my children, am I picking on them? Am I telling them what's wrong? Am I correcting them? Am I telling them what they need to do? Yeah, working on that one. So big time. So big time. When you have teenagers, such an opportunity, such an awesome opportunity. All right. So releasing those addictions, the more negative emotions we allow to run wild, the worse your frequency will be. So, rabbit hole, anyone? You know, the rabbit hole, when you go down that rabbit hole, and then it's a lot harder to get out once you jump into the rabbit hole. So, you got to get control over that mind before it spirals you into the rabbit hole. That's what depression is. That's what overwhelming is. That's what panic attacks are. You have let an addiction to emotion run wild, a negative frequency run wild, and it has buried you. And in order to get yourself out of it, it's a lot harder. You may need help with that. You may need someone to assist you with that. Or you can start taking your power back, start meditating, doing some gratitude, some journaling, and deciding this is how I want to live my life. And I don't want to tune into those lower frequencies. Decision is a big part of this. If you decide, I'm taking the bounce. I'm taking the bounce from this, right? Think about a trampoline. As far as a trampoline goes down, the higher you're going to go up. So if you're down, take the bounce. Say that to yourself. I'm taking the bounce. I'm going to decide that I get to decide what happens next because I'm going to respond differently. I'm not going to respond to this in depression. I'm not going to respond to this in anxiety. That's not who I am. That's the opposite of what I want. I'm going to take the bounce. And by taking the bounce, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide what I want. I'm going to decide what I want is going to happen. And I'm going to align myself with the frequencies. And how you align yourself with the frequencies is this: you start interrupting. You interrupt the thoughts of the worry, the anxiety, and the doubt. And you do your mantra. You do that mantra. And then you soften your emotions. So instead of trying to take a leap from depression to joy, which is not possible because they're very far vibrations from each other, you start softening. So softening is you start looking for a little bit of gratitude. You start getting a little more present. You start looking for what's right in your life. You start maybe listening to some music. You start some self-care, maybe taking a bath, maybe getting out in nature. Hello, nature is a great aligner. It aligns you with, that infinite source energy, getting out in nature. Soften your emotions, get yourself in a more general state, a more neutral state. You don't have to go from depression to joy. Most likely you're not going to be able to do that. Unless you win the lottery, then you're probably going to go from depression to joy pretty quick because there are things that will do that for you. Or unless your lover comes back, that person who broke up with you that you thought was the moon and the stars, maybe they come back and then you feel like everything is right in the world again. It's all circumstantial. Don't you want that power for yourself? Oh, God, yes, absolutely. All right. And then you start acting as if. So here you go. You start asking, how would I feel if I knew this was going to work out? If I, beyond a shadow of a doubt, knew this was all going to work out for me. Like if I had known that before, from our trip to Connecticut to California, we land in our friend's house. We have 10 days there. We got to find a place. Don't know if we're going to find a place, but we're going to find a place, right? We're going to find a place. I remember I met with someone who does like card readings. I'm not a big card reading person, but I met with them because I was kind of flipping out before we left. And they said to me, your credit's not going to be an issue, which was, I really wanted to believe that. And you're going to find a place on, I don't know, I think it might have been the 7th or 8th day that you're there, you're going to find a place. And it was pretty spot on, I have to say. And what happened with our credit scores is the apartment complex asked us for like an extra $400 because our credit scores were not good. So yeah, no issue there. Hello. So get into acting as if. So if I knew that all of this was going to work out for me, I would have avoided a ton of anxiety. I would have avoided a lot of fear and a lot of feeling displaced and feeling homeless and flipping out. But guess what? I don't regret any of it because it was all part of my expansion and growth. So now when things like that happen, when big life-shifting things happen, or if we have to move, like the last time we had to move, we had like 7 days to find a place because we were literally getting pushed out by a really a very what do you call it, mentor of a landlord. I like to tormentor of a landlord, and we had to get out within like 7 days. My faith was in a different place. I really felt like it was going to work out. And when I walked into my house, I knew, like I felt the energy of faith and trust and intuition, and I trusted it. So that's how you build it. That's how you strengthen it. So act as if. How would I feel? How would I wake up every day if I absolutely knew this was going to work out better than I could have expected? Stop acting like Chicken Little. I don't know why Chicken Little's coming up today, but seriously, stop acting like the freaking sky is falling. The sky is not falling. Remember Chicken Little? So what Chicken Little did was took some information and blew it out of proportion. And God, if we haven't seen that in our world in the last few years, blew it out of proportion. Oh my God, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And a lot of it didn't happen. And it's like, can we just relax? Can we just take our power back? Can we breathe? Can we be present? Can we look at what's really important in life? And then just putting yourself in the place of faith and trust is really, really, really important. Um, Fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it. Get there. Pretend. What do they say? Like smiling, like you can't smile and be sad at the same time. And as much as we could say, oh, I'm faking it. There's something to be said from that acting as if. It's like if you've been feeling sick, get up, take a shower, get dressed, act as if you're better. Hello. Work on it. Work on that field, because if you constantly tell yourself you're sick, guess what? That's the frequency you're tuning into. If you're not, if you're in financial lack right now, if you continue to constrict and to feel less than and to feel broke and to feel like you can't afford to do anything and to feel stuck and to feel bondage, you're in that frequency. You have to do things that help you to feel abundance, to help you to feel gratitude for what you do have, to help you to feel joy. Tuning into that frequency is super duper important. If you're lonely, you know, if you just come from a breakup, don't sit in your house and mope. Good Lord, go out and meet people. There's more love out there, people. There's more love to be had. There's more love to be shared. There's more relationships to experience. If you're in a really challenging relationship, ask yourself, how do I shift this? How do I shift me? Where is my stuff in this relationship? Where am I conducting in this relationship in a negative way? Where are my negative belief systems about this person? How am I tuning into the radio station of difficulty with this person? And tune out of it, tune into something better. All right, so letting go. Ask yourself, what can I do differently? So, what can I do differently? Like in the past, if this has always been my response, let's say an unexpected bill comes and I flip out, and I always flip out, and then I feel anxiety and I can't sleep for days. That I'm just giving you a scenario. This doesn't happen to me anymore. It did. This is the old me. This is the past me. How do I respond differently? Recently, I've been noticing, like, you have stuff that goes on with the cars. So we have a lot of cars. We have 4 cars, 4 people driving, and 2 people that actually make money to pay for these cars when they break. So recently I've noticed, like, you got to get brakes done and stuff. There's so many stoplights in California. You got to get brakes done. You got to get oil changes done. You got to get things done, right? So I've taken myself out of looking at those things and going, oh God, and trying to push them off and trying not to do them. And, my daughter said the other day, she's like, oh, I need new brakes, pads, rotors, the whole thing. I'm like, all right, cool. Go do it. And now I need brakes this week. Cool. I'm going to go do it. No feeling, no reason to be anxious, no reason to feel like, oh, there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. So I'm definitely getting like these no interest credit cards, which I love. I have a Synchrony car care account, which really helps. So then we can break down these, big car bills. Look for that. Seriously, look for that. Cause like the no interest, I think Synchrony's got a ton of things. We have our dental on there. We have our car on there. And then those were where our furniture bills came from, which were no interest. So if you want some new furniture, good Lord, I think I paid $30 a month for our couch and paid it off before there was any interest due. You just have to be careful that your minimum payment is going to cover what's going to come due, because I've screwed myself that way too. But I haven't screwed myself, because when a big bill was due, we paid it. Like that's what happens, because everything always works out for us, right? Stop worrying about money. It is not helping you to become abundant. It is not helping you to channel something else. It is not helping you to tune into a frequency of abundance. That's a big one. That's a huge one, because it conducts a lot of what we do and a lot of how we feel. And at the end of the day, the funny thing is, you don't take any of it with you. So what the hell is the point? It ain't even real. I mean, they're coming out with this Bitcoin stuff. I'm like, okay, so these are numbers on a screen. That's it. Numbers on a screen. There's not even paper involved. Like a social programming, hello. Money is an energy and a frequency that we tune into, and how we feel about it is how we're going to conduct from it. And that is how it's going to come more than it has in the past. You got to get out of your lack. You got to get out of this worry and anxiety, and you got to trust. I have been through major financial stuff, and I know that this is how it works. This is how I have shifted so much of the energy field to allow for more abundance to flow in. It totally works. So that truly letting go and asking yourself, what can I do differently? What different energy can I bring to this situation that I never have before? So let's say it's a challenging mother-in-law, okay? And let's say, every time you see her or every time you have to talk to her, you feel anxious and you feel angry and you don't want to do it. How can you do that differently? How can you do that differently? Can you find something you like about her? One little tiny thing. How about this? How about she gave birth to the person that you love? How about she was the person responsible for bringing your spouse into your life? About, somebody that you love, somebody who has allowed you to have children. Like if she didn't have your spouse, you wouldn't have the beautiful children that you have. So look for those little things and tune into those frequencies and you will do much better. Get interested in her world. Maybe she talks a lot. I don't know. Just guessing. Get interested in her world. Ask her questions. Help her to feel like she matters. She won't be so annoying if she feels like you care about her, if she feels like she matters. Okay. And that pretty much goes with any person. If you're in a significant relationship with someone, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, and it's challenging, you're not seeing eye to eye on things. How can you do it differently? How can you respond differently? I'll tell you a few of the things that I did with my husband that were incredibly effective. One is, I had this thing where if he ever called me names, which he would from time to time, we get mad, we call each other names. If he ever called me names, I would feel hurt. I had a lot of bullying situations in my life. I had a lot of people who put me down. And for a long time, I had low self-esteem and low self-confidence. And my response would be hurt. I would be hurt. I would feel hurt from that. And then I stopped doing that. I decided, and then I got my confidence. I started to feel my self-esteem. I started doing things on my own. I started becoming independent, creating businesses. And I started to decide that that was just a moment where he was feeling anger. Now, this doesn't excuse abuse if you have somebody like really telling you off. This is just when somebody snaps at you, maybe at the end of a stressful day or something happened. I stopped doing that. I stopped feeling hurt from it. And I started giving him a break. I started letting him off the hook and not making it mean that that was what I was, not making it trigger a wound because I was starting to heal. And the next thing I started to do was I started to ask myself, especially when we don't agree on something or, we're challenged by something, I'll say, where is my stuff in this? If I'm having an issue with him and it's triggering me, there's something inside of me that is being asked to be healed. And I'll say, where is my stuff in this? And I'll start working on my stuff. And it's amazing what happens in a relationship when you are interested in working on your stuff and you stop pointing the fingers and blaming somebody else, because that's victimhood. And you're never going to get anywhere if you're in a relationship and the conversation is always about what's wrong with them and how they should fix it. You ain't going to get anywhere. It's not a teaching moment. And people are going to get on the defense when you do that. Plus, think about your frequency. What are you tuning into? You're tuning into what you don't like about them. So you got to start tuning that frequency better, start tuning that station better and saying, what can I do about this conflict? What can I do about this situation? All right, so he doesn't want to move to California. What can I do about it? I can just not argue about it and I can just meditate and I can do what I can do because I know that in the long run, my alignment with my dreams is what's going to make them happen, not trying to convince him. And then he comes on board, or she. It worked for me. All right. Okay, lastly, before we jump into this little activation and I talk about my writer's workshop, celebrate your wins. This is something I was listening to the other day, and I just realized like we don't celebrate our wins. We manifest and then we're like, what's next? Something great happens and we're over it very quickly. Or we actually feel kind of depressed after like big things happen. Like we have these big events or we create these big events and then they're over and we feel the loss of it. It's like we've got to celebrate more. We've got to acknowledge ourselves more, be proud of ourselves more for a longer stretch of time, because those are the moments that are going to activate more of those moments and put us in the frequency of more opportunities for success. So when you have a success, when you have a win, celebrate it, really celebrate it. And allow yourself to be in that frequency of gratitude and joy and accomplishment for longer. Because if you don't, then you tend to go back and say, what have I done lately? I mean, that's our society, right? What have you done for me lately? It's like, well, what's your next achievement? What's your next goal? What are you going to do now? Oh my goodness. There's like an addiction to that, right? The adrenaline of succeeding, of accomplishing. And it's like, when you do something, really connect with and celebrate that win. That's going to give you more wins. All right. Really quickly, I'm just going to jump into my writer's workshop challenge. I don't know what I'm calling it yet. Writer's circle. This is what I think is going to transpire, and I'm still getting the details down. But if you're interested, email me at livelifegolden@gmail.com. I'm going to put some posts up about it when I get a little more clarity on timing and things like that. But this is what I've decided. There's going to be a guided meditation daily. So I'm going to record like a 5-minute guided meditation to open up your channel to writing. And I'm going to help you to release emotions and resistance around creating. There is a resistance around creating, and there's a resistance and a fear about being seen that needs to be released in order for you to really write from that really connected state and allow yourself to get a little vulnerable, because writing is vulnerability. It's like putting ourselves out there, right? It's allowing ourselves to be seen. There is going to be that accountability. So I'm going to call people to 4 days of writing a week. So this is like 20 to 30 minutes. I think do the little meditation, 30 minutes would be perfect. 30 minutes of writing per week. And you're going to turn that into me so I can see it. I'm going to do help and guidance with these things. So I'll help you with your outlines. I'll help you to get clarity on what the story is, the beginning, the middle, and the end, and help you with the cover and the input into Amazon. I have a guy who does this for me, who will get it uploaded into CreateSpace so you can self-publish this yourself and own the rights to it. What's happening is, if you're looking for a literary agent, if you're looking for a publishing company, they're going to ask you for a lot of money. And a lot of times you don't own the rights to your own story. And that to me is a deal breaker. And then I'll help you with social media suggestions to promote your book. And I even may have a little editing piece of that. I have a friend who edits. I haven't talked to her yet, but we'll see. But as far as I know, Grammarly is amazing. So we might be able to do this on our own. The editing piece is the most time consuming when it comes to writing a book. But when I tell you, you can write a book in a very short time. Quantum Speak, if you haven't read Quantum Speak yet, get it on Amazon. It's my manifestation story of how we moved from Connecticut to California and the processes that we used and the miracles that happened along the way. Basically, that book, it's a short book. It's 85 pages. That book was written in like 7 days, and it was 7 days of severe focus. If you want like intense focus and you want to get a book out super fast and you have a full-time schedule, we will call you to more than 4 days of writing. We will call you to more than 30 minutes. So it's that accountability that's going to get your book written, get your story out there, and get you to be a published author. How cool is that? It's freaking awesome. If you've told yourself like your whole life, I want to be an author, guess what? I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to help you do it. And I can't wait. All right. So let's do a little abundance activation. I'm a little over today, but I don't think you're going to be sad about that. Because what we're going to do is we're going to activate, we're going to release problem energy, and we're going to get into solution energy. So I want you to think about something in your life that you're looking to manifest, something that you're working on. It could be a problem that you've called a problem, could be a challenge, could be something you've been trying to do for a long time. I want you to hold that, and I want you to think about right now how you've been conducting on that situation. What's the energy you've been throwing at that? What's the radio station you've been tuned into? Has it been lack? Has it been distrust? Has it been there's not enough, there's no way, it's impossible? Have you put a lot of limitations on it? Have you the limitations that you put on it can only come a certain way? It has to be this way, or it's not going to work out. Okay, we're going to open up your field to possibilities right now. All right, so take a deep breath, close your eyes. If you're driving, maybe pause this and do it when you get home, or pull over. All right, so take a deep breath, close your eyes. And just breathe out. And basically, when you breathe in and breathe out, just breathe out all the stress, anxiety, and all the old energy. Good. Woo! I can feel the energy. It's coming up from below. And let's just call upon divine energy. Let's call upon the energy of all that is. Let's call upon our non physical guides and angelic support to release the energy of what has been activated that has caused us to feel like this manifestation has come hard, or that this situation has been impossible. Yeah, release that. Nothing is impossible. Just the energy around it that has caused blockages. We're asking for that to fully release. So releasing all the energy around this situation, releasing all of the frequency around this situation. And through this release, we release all lack, we release all doubts, we release all fears, anxieties, and any energy that has caused blockage in the field of potential. Old energies, judgments, fear, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, any belief that says we can't have what we want because we never have before, all that social programming or any of that family energy or energies of others that have caused us to believe less than in ourselves. Yeah, release that. Release the energy of what is, because what is old news. Yeah, release the energy of what is or what things look like, because we cannot fathom the energy field. We can't really wrap our minds around the energy field that is coming into play, that is being activated right now, and is causing a co-creative energy within our field. So we call on that co-creative partnership to activate solutions within us. So I want you to open up the crown of your head, and we're going to bring in lots of beautiful, warm, golden light. And we're going to let that warm golden light go all the way around our neural pathways. And we're going to let that warm golden light wrap all the way around our energy field. And in that warm golden light, just keep imagining that it's coming down your body, spinning around your head and your shoulders and the back of your neck. Let your shoulders drop. You're not carrying the weight of the world. There is assistance, and we're calling on the assistance now. And let that light come all the way around, really activating the heart chakra, really activating in the light of faith and trust. And let that energy go all the way down your field. And in this energy field, we activate from solutions. We activate from an abundant mindset, allowing ourselves to tune into the frequency of abundance flow, allowing the energy of abundance to be present in our life and to be at the forefront. We allow solution energy to be activated. We allow opportunities that we didn't see before to be obvious to us now. We activate evidence of our power, evidence of our ability to create. And we ask for the neural pathway connections, the thoughts and emotions to tune into the frequencies of all things working out for us. We ask, and we know as we ask, it is done, because the expansion of our faith and trust is assured. We know that being in these physical bodies, we are still an extension of divine energy. And because of that, our desires and what calls our heart has the ability to manifest. In fact, because we have these thoughts and these desires, it has the assurance of manifestation. So tuning into that frequency of manifestation just for a few moments, I want you to really work from limitless connection. So we're calling in the infinite potential energies, that infinite potential field. And I want you to see this situation working out better than you've ever imagined. So more. I want you to call on more energy, more power, more wonderful things happening and more things working out for you, even better than you expected. So just take a moment and let this play out in your mind's eye. And as you let it play out, feel into the energy of what it is to have it already done. Awesome. Great job. Really good activation. I felt it in every cell of my being. So you can do that whenever you're feeling, in a lower field and you want to just bring your frequency higher. You can get to the end of the show. I think it was 1 hour and 2 minutes that meditation started, if you want to just click right on it. But I've got, fun stuff coming. We're doing some stuff on the podcast to make it bigger. Please share it with your friends. If you've got somebody going through something and you heard something on the show, send them the show. It's so easy to do. You just copy the link, send it to them, because living this way is pretty fantastic. I feel like I have this little, box of joy I want to give to everyone. And I want them to know that they're powerful creators and that they have the ability to change their lives by how they respond to life. So let me know if you guys have questions. I love you all. Peace out.